Are you playing a character right now?
You caught me.
Dude, Joel's drunk and Cody's high. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome everybody out there who's listening. This is our first official podcast of That Cousin Show. Yeah, this is exciting. Say hello, guys.
Hey.
What's up?
This is already off to a very terrible start.
Hi, I'm Cody. Yeah.
Let's just quit
terrible.
now. Let's just quit now.
Quit while we're ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, so if you guys couldn't do the math on the name, we're a bunch of cousins, and we thought what the world really needs right now is one more podcast. Not more doctors, not some peace, just another podcast. That's going to solve the world's problems. So we figured we'd just jump on here and start talking about things we like to talk about. So we're just going to jump into topics that we like to talk about, which is like movies, maybe some video games, things that annoy us. But we're really happy you guys are giving us a shot to, kind of entertain you, because we know there's a bunch of other stuff out there that you could be listening to, but you came to us. We appreciate that.
And get ready to get disappointed.
Yes.
Well,
quickly.
I'm disappointed.
They're not dating us, but they're just
Might as well be.
Well, just that alcohol, Joel.
Yeah, it's full of vodka.
It's just straight up tequila.
It helps me get through the day.
It's gonna help you get through this thing.
Joel, we love you, but we're concerned.
This is the weirdest intervention
Yeah.
I've ever been in.
Yeah, this is actually just a way of us recording Joel's, alcoholism.
I'm concerned, but I don't love you.
So one of the things that I like to point out, since this is a first episode, is that if this does take off, I just want to stake the flag now. If this does turn into a thing where you guys like listening to us, and we do hundreds and hundreds of these episodes, maybe even thousands, people always want to come back and listen to the first episode. And I think that's pretty cool. So for anybody who might have come back to listen to this episode, which obviously is probably not going to be that good, I'm just going to say, did Bitcoin work out?
I sure hope so. I dumped all my money into it.
Luke, you idiot! Why did you do that?
That reminds me. Can I live with one of you guys?
Dude, you bought Litecoin. That was your problem.
Yeah.
All right. So rather than us sitting here rambling forever, the topic of today is movies. And not just talking about movies that we like. We want to talk about movies that we like more than other movies. We're doing a movie versus movie.
Get on with it.
What an original idea.
Yes. So what we did is pick a few sorts of movies. A few type of movies? What do you want to call it? Just a few different genres of movies that we really like. And we're going to put them against each other and see which one we think is better. And we're going to explain why. And if you don't want to listen to this, well, I don't know why you came this far in the first place.
Yeah, get out of here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Jerk.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. Round one. The movie that we're going to talk about is Batman. But not just any other Batman. I think we can all agree that the jury's out on this, that The Dark Knight is the best Batman film. I think that's pretty solid.
Dillon, God dang it.
Luke, it's just a fact.
Conclusions?
All right. I'll buy it.
Does anybody disagree? Does anybody think The Dark Knight is the worst Batman film? Just before we get into the topic. Cody, do you disagree?
Is the worst?
Dark Knight is the worst Batman film?
Or the best?
You went from the best to the worst.
Well, no, you guys made it seem like it was. Am I wrong?
Set the record straight. Dark Knight is considered the best within critics and probably fans alike.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty much given there. But we want to talk about what the runner-up is. What's the second best Batman film here? And I think there's two clear, obvious choices. The 1989 Tim Burton Batman, or Batman and Robin, no. Or Batman Begins with Christian Bale and the Christopher Nolan film. Who has an opinion to think that one is better than the other? Go.
Oh, man. Throw down, buddy.
Let me just start off by saying these are very different for obvious reasons.
Joel.
Oh, we're going to get deep already.
Oh, yeah. No, one is, going back in 1989, superhero movies weren't as common, obviously, as today. So Superman was like the superhero movie. And then we get to Batman, Tim Burton's Batman. And what he did was basically just take he basically thought, hey, this is a comic book, obviously, one of the most popular comic books of all time. Let's turn this into a movie. And I think the movie that he made reflects very much of what like the comic book looks like, or the movie actually looks like a comic book. Like each shot is very like, the lighting's all crazy, the shadows are like super dramatic, the costumes make no sense, but they look cool. Like he's a superhero, and his outfit literally keeps him from turning his head. Like that's just ridiculous as far as
very
like,
practical way to fight
realistic.
crime,
Exactly, but it looks absolutely amazing. But it looks like a comic book. And then flip side, you have Christopher Nolan's, which is taking a very realistic kind of approach to this character, and instead of going the more, I guess, like artistic route, he's saying, well, what if this was a real guy? What would that story look like, basically? So the question is, in my mind anyway, which would you prefer, the more kind of artistic comic book style or the more realistic style? I choose, just to go right out of the gate, I choose Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, only because I think it has a better focus and a clearer focus on the characters and like the human aspect of it, rather than just making it a general like superhero, like I can do anything and I have all these cool toys that can do anything and everything, and it has really no place in like relatability. It's just kind of a cool thing to look at. I think it's much more relatable if you look at the Batman Begins version.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an aspect to how both of them were so appealing. And like, first of all, the movie came out in 1989, so I'm pretty sure we all grew up with that movie, the Tim Burton version at least. So, am I wrong? We all watched that movie probably a dozen times.
Right.
I
was born that year, but
I watched it 11 times.
Cody,
Exactly.
what did I
11
tell
times.
you?
Not quite a dozen.
he has a notepad with 11 on it.
Yeah.
11
Got
and a
tally
half.
marks all over that sucker.
Yeah, you couldn't even make a dozen trips on that movie.
Got tired of it after 10.
You're like, what is this? Actually, I remember, Joel, you might recall some of our old Video Super Shop employees back in the day that some of them knew a lot more about comic books than we did. And someone pointed something out about the Batman film that I never really picked up on. I was like, yeah, that movie should not have been called Batman. It should have been called Joker. The movie's more about Jack Nicholson's origins. Like that movie starts, it's just like, here's the Joker, like hidden, like, or the Joker before he became the Joker, and then we see his origin, and just Batman's there. It just starts off like, oh, Batman just is. That's just how he is.
Right.
So that was going to be my argument. I think, if anything, Jack Nicholson makes the original Batman.
I agree.
It's not so much. I mean, Michael Keaton does a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong, but Jack Nicholson's Joker, you just can't beat it until
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
we're not there
already
yet.
established. Yeah, we've already established that that's the best one. And yeah, a Joker versus Joker debate is a whole other thing. But I think we're all pretty confident Heath Ledger won that one. But anyway, I think in terms of what Christopher Nolan did, I think was brilliant. It was kind of that. I think that movie came out before the Casino Royale, like the reinvention of a series that had been around for a long time. So it was kind of like a new thing that, like, wow, you can reinvent something that everyone kind of thought was dead. So I think everyone really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I've seen both films multiple times, and I think the clear answer here is that Batman Begins is a better movie, but which one is more entertaining is probably a whole other thing. Like, it kind of like which one would you give the award to? Which one would you give your money to? And in this case, it's kind of like I'd probably rather watch the original Batman again, because it just seems like there's so much going on. It's like you said, it's kind of like a comic book where there's just so much craziness happening. Like, this isn't real life.
Well,
I'm kind of enjoying it.
It's so goofy. Like, it's looking at rewatching the original Batman is like, it's it's almost a comedy.
Right.
Compared to Batman Begins, it's almost a comedy.
Yeah, because
it's like ridiculous.
It doesn't take itself seriously. I mean, in point in case, it shows Michael Keaton as Batman hanging upside down sleeping. Like it's a joke,
Dude,
right?
Why would you not want to watch that?
Yeah,
I
well,
don't remember that at all.
personal preference. But
You don't remember that scene where he's hanging upside down?
No.
Remember when it's Vicky Vale when she
man.
wakes up and she looks over and he's just like creaking back and
Oh
forth?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
I mean, sexy as
Right.
hell.
it will, turns me on every time. But that's
Yeah.
different topic. I was just gonna say it's because it doesn't take itself so seriously. I mean, mention of like awards, it shouldn't win as far as what is a better movie in whole, because I think it's just aesthetically pleasing, and I think Jack Nicholson's character is just fun to watch. But I think take Jack Nicholson out of that movie, and then it just looks pretty, and that's about it. I think for Batman Begins, like
What is it, Joel? Say it.
I don't know. No, Christian Bale. He's a good actor, but he's not like, he doesn't make the movie. He doesn't make the trilogy. I think if you replace it with another actor, it would still be a great movie.
I
kind
agree.
of thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. All right, so let's wrap up this group. So Joel, you say Batman Begins is better. I'm gonna say this might be a cop out. I think the original Batman with Tim Burton is more entertaining, but I think by far Batman Begins is the second best Batman movie. If that counts as anything. What do you got?
No, you're wrong, but okay.
Okay, well let's take this outside.
Have you ever been wrong before?
What do you say, Cody and Luke? What's your definitive answer here?
Cody, go.
Yeah, well, I think Batman Begins is better in my opinion, but it all depends on who you ask, because
We're asking you, idiot.
So diplomatic.
All about fairness.
If I had to watch one over again, I'd probably pick the 1989 Batman
That's what I'm saying.
because I haven't seen it in a long time. But
That's the only reason.
I wonder how Tim Burton would make it differently today if he had to remake it.
Oh my gosh.
It would probably be all computer animation.
Or
Guaranteed.
claymation. Yeah.
Or claymation, yeah.
Luke, what do you think?
I definitely think Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite.
Dude, what
Luke.
about Edward Scissorhands, man? Come on.
Luke.
Guys, I'm torn. I'm so torn and I'm so confused.
Lying naked on the floor.
Yeah. No, I think Batman Begins is a better movie all around. Although, I will say Batman nails it with the better, more interesting characters. If that makes any sense.
Nope.
Joker.
Yeah. Okay.
Way more entertaining.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So,
right.
got that round out of the way. Let's move on to the next set of movies here. We have two classics, two sci-fi classics, two James Cameron films. Now, I think we both know which of these films we like better, but we want to talk about why which one is better than the other one. That is Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. So it's very clear to us, I mean, we've talked about this many times, like I think we could make the argument that Terminator 2 was, if not the best sequel of all time, it's obviously the best of the Terminator series. But why is it better? Like, why would Terminator 2? Because Terminator 1 is fantastic. And the more and more I kept thinking about this, I was like, I don't think that Terminator 2 is so much better than the first one. I just think it's a fantastic film by itself. And the more and more I kept thinking about it, I was like, you know what? I think the first one, I still think the second one's better. And I think the only reason that Terminator 2 is better is because it's just bigger. It's just a little more fine-tuned. If you watch the original one, it's kind of like a...
Scrappy.
Well, it seems like kind of like a B movie. Kind of like a... What's the word I'm looking for? Something that you would watch and be like, oh, this is a cheesy, like, science fiction movie. And it's just done in a brilliant way. I mean, don't get me wrong. The tech noir scene where the Terminator first sees Sarah Connor and everyone's dancing in slow motion, and then she sees Kyle Reese in the mirror and everything slows down. That's brilliant directing. That's just the most brilliant directing you can capture in that scene. Just every time I see that, dang you, James Cameron. It's so good. But for every one of those scenes in the first one, I think there are 4 or 5 in Terminator 2 that basically boils down to, I think Terminator 2 is just better because there's more. There's just more effects, more action, more story. There's more characters. There's just a lot more going on. So I think it's just a bigger movie altogether. It's not probably the best reasoning, but it's easily more entertaining to me on a whole other level. So Terminator 2 obviously is the better one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Terminator 2 is obviously certainly the better one. But I was kind of struggling with this too, because it's kind of hard to determine like the differences between the two movies. When you think about like each plot, they're almost the same exact thing. Basically, the goal is just to kill Sarah Connor, and in the second one, obviously her son.
John Connor.
But,
Well, and the second one's to kill John Connor.
Yeah,
Kill them both.
but the idea is the same plot pretty much. But it's I think the first one is a classic because it's so original, and just the idea behind it is so great. And it's filmed in a way where it's fairly realistic for the time period, I guess. I mean, looking at it, but now it's it's kind of stop motion, kind of weird looking, fake, whatever. But it was still a cool idea, and just like the actual, Terminator himself was just you couldn't have picked a better person to play him. And then when his flesh is torn off or burned off, whatever, it's like that's the coolest looking machine I've ever seen in my life.
When you said
terrifying.
when you said there couldn't be somebody that could play him better, they originally wanted O.J. Simpson to play that part.
That would have been better.
That would have been so much better. Oh my gosh.
The juice is loose, man.
You get a real murderer to play the murdering robot.
Luke, he was innocent. Luke,
He was innocent.
We all know this.
I really messed up, guys.
He was guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
What was I saying?
Terminator 2 is better. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, Terminator 2 is better. I was trying to think of like why. I don't know. It's tough. I think I love the idea of like everybody had seen the first one when the second one came out, and the idea that you knew what the Terminator, Arnold's Terminator was capable of, and then all of a sudden the script was flipped, and now he's protecting John Connor, and it's like that's a genius idea because it's like you don't have to set up that character anymore. Everybody already knows who he is, but now you are all of a sudden rooting for him, and you know exactly what he can and cannot do, and it's like that's fantastic. And then the villain is like, oh, I think the villain's a great idea too because it's just obviously a vast improvement on the original Terminator, and it's like, what could stop him? Oh, that guy can.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Actually, it's a solid point you make about the villain too. I think the T-1000 is one of the greatest villains out there, and I think this is where the sequel makes a brilliant move. Is the idea of making the bad guy from the first one the hero in this one, because he was obviously the best character. I mean, the movie's named after him in the first one.
Right.
And then the sequel comes around, they're like, well, we're going to keep the coolest character and then introduce another character that's just as cool as he was. Kyle Reese, as heroic as he was, could never be as cool as a Terminator or a T-1000. So when you have two characters that are just super awesome, it's just, you can't beat that. Come on.
Right. I'll throw a wrench into this discussion.
Luke!
That's what I'm here for. I would argue that the two movies are in a different genre.
Plot twist.
Interesting.
Yeah. I would argue that the original Terminator is a thriller, almost close to a horror film.
Yeah, I see where you're going with this.
I would argue also that Terminator 2 is a pure action adventure movie.
I am 100% on the same page with you on that one.
So they I don't know if they can. I mean, they can obviously be compared apples to apples, but I don't know if they're. I don't know if they're in the same genre.
I say for the sake of. I say put them in the same genre. I say for the sake of this argument, we just both classify them as science fiction.
Okay.
Two science fiction movies that have the same exact characters, same plot. why is the new one better, or the newer one better? Is it because it takes more of an action stance as opposed to horror, I guess?
Again, I think, to me, going back to my original argument, I think I know bigger does not always equal better, but in this case, I think it does. I think it simplifies everything, not just the characters, but the story, the script, the effects, the production, the twists and turns that everything takes, just the spectacle of the whole thing. It's like, it's a movie. Like, you're right, Luke. It's an action movie. Like, it's an action movie. It's a humongous blockbuster film. And the first one was kind of like a B-level thriller. Yeah. And it's kind of like comparing, I mean, not to compare another James Cameron film, but it's like the original Alien versus Aliens. One is a thriller horror film. The other one is an action sci-fi film. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I think it's just, to me, it boils down to, it's just bigger. It's just a bigger movie. I mean,
Terminator 2 leaves you with a kind of that feel-good feeling at the end, right? Like, even though the hero essentially dies in the end, spoiler alert.
Luke, what have you done?
Yeah. It I don't know. It seems more resolved, even though they made more movies. But it seems more resolved. At the end of Terminator, you just feel like creeped out that that this poor woman was trying to be like murdered this whole time and happened to get away. Like,
just like this gut punch, like, oh, that was a terrible thing she just went through.
Yeah, this like poor innocent woman was trying to be murdered this whole time. Like, that was horrible. But like Terminator 2, like, she's ready, she's gonna fight back, like, and they win in the end. Like, I don't know. It has all. I mean, it could be in every film class ever. It has all the classic beginning, middle, end key points that every movie should have. It's perfect.
Yeah.
From
granted, I think the main reason I enjoy both of them so much is because I get to see Arnold Schwarzenegger naked.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna be honest with ourselves.
Cody, what do you think?
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the best pick for Terminator.
This is the part.
Cody is 3 topics back.
So
He's still thinking about Batman Begins.
Batman was greater than 1989. The whole year. Yeah, so I think one of the other things that makes Terminator 2 better is the emotional side to it, and that's the relationship that is built between a machine and John Connor. There was that father and son relationship being built, and you didn't see that coming, and it was very powerful, and you felt a sort of sadness with a machine dying.
I like that.
Yeah. So it had that aspect to it that the first one didn't really have. I mean, you kind of felt bad for what's his face? What's the human? Kyle Reese. You kind of felt bad for him, but not that much.
Yeah, you could let him go.
Yeah, he was a soldier. He lived his life. He lived a full life. But you have this kid who didn't have a father figure, and he finally found one in a robot, and it's kind of emotional. So it had that aspect to it. It's
a good point.
Yeah. Did it mimic your life, Cody?
Sure did. My real dad now the robot.
He's still waiting for the Terminator to come into his room.
When you found your robot dad, that's when it all turned around for you.
Found my android father. Old android dad. Tell you what.
All right, so I think we all pretty much conclusively agree that Terminator 2 is better, so there's no definitive answer that we need from each other on this one, so that's the end of that round. Let's move on to the next 2 movies that we're going to compare. We're going to move into the horror genre.
Yes.
So we have 2 classics that have been grouped together, and these 2 films are Halloween and The Shining.
That laugh actually fit on that one.
Yeah.
That happened every time.
Yeah.
So the question isn't like which one's scarier. It's not which one is better. I mean, I guess that's probably the general question. But I want to know which one you think is more iconic. what is the more iconic Halloween film? Both of them are very iconic, but which one do you think has left a bigger impression on people's minds?
Well, all right, hold on. Pause for a second. You said most iconic Halloween film or most iconic horror film?
Oh, did I misspoke? Did I misspoke?
Did I
You
misspoke?
misspoke.
Guys,
Misspoke.
I've been drinking
backtrack
Joel's
a little
vodka
bit.
behind the scenes.
You guys are actually in the same room. You're just oddly enough
Yes.
filming off.
We
I'm
just
all, Joel, would you
changed our
pass me some of
lighting.
that booze, please?
Would you pass the salt?
Hey, that's from that movie we just talked about. Yeah, which one is the more iconic horror movie? That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Joel, you're the expert on horror.
the reason only me.
Horror. So those two.
Yeah, you're the expert on horrors.
Yeah.
I didn't say horror, Dylan.
I know what.
Clarify. But to be accurate, I'm an expert on both. No, it's. I think that comment kind of hit the nail on the head. Halloween is by far, obviously, the most classic Halloween horror movie you can think of. Just because, obviously, the story entails Halloween. It's based on, a setting of Halloween. So it's just like, and it came out in the, 80s, 70s? 70s?
79. I think.
79, all right.
79.
80s, 70s. So I think
You have the
what
magic of the internet.
what sets it apart is that because it came out during that time and because it has this now iconic killer, I think it is easily and historically placed into the slasher film genre, which is still obviously a horror movie, but it definitely has its place in like the slasher next to Freddy Krueger, next to Jason Voorhees. Like he's just put on a pedestal up over there.
Halloween came out in 1978, by the way. Sorry.
78.
Called
Okay.
it.
So The Shining, on the other hand, is not a slasher movie. Long story short, I think Shining is a more complete horror movie because it entails so many different elements, like crazy psychological elements. It just makes you feel super weird after watching it. The music is creepy as hell. The actual character is creepy. Jack Nicholson again is amazing and makes the movie. And the fact that you can see like the differences between. And so when did Shining come out?
It was in the
70s again?
80s. What was it?
I think it's 70s again.
Hold, please.
Luke, do your magic.
I'll say it's 1980. 1980. That's my prediction.
Oh, what are
say
the bets? What are the bets? Dylan, you said 1980.
I'm going to say
say
77.
I'm gonna say.
Don't look it up, Cody.
Cody looked it up, didn't you?
Stupid
What do I
idiot.
get?
It's 1980.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I knew it.
All right, I don't care about that fact. All right. So they came out at the same time. That's actually better. So they came out around the same time. Yet one Halloween is placed in this like dark setting. Well, half the movie's dark, half the movie's in daytime, but most of the terror is in the dark. So it's like this dark character. You can barely see him most of the time, hiding behind bushes, hiding behind doors, whatever it is. And it's more like jump scares, loud music, whatever. The Shining is just playing like the director was like literally like no dark spaces at all. Just shine as much light as possible in every single shot.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what like the scene is. Just shine light on it. And
even comedy lighting.
yeah, comedic lighting. Yeah, Jack Nicholson was just sunburnt by the end of that shoot. No, it's well lit, which makes it even creepier because the blood is that much more bold. Mm-hmm. And there's just so much there's gore, there's crazy characters, there's creepy music. The shots are super long. The music is like playing with those shots to like just elevate, like as he's like looking through the pages of the script he wrote, or she's looking through the pages of the script he wrote. Like the music is just like this creepy violin, just getting louder and louder. All those elements played together so well, and I think only a few elements in Halloween play well because there's only a few elements in there. That The Shining just makes it much more complete whole horror movie as opposed to Halloween, which is just more of a slasher. Put it in one category. Shining is like envelops like all categories of horror.
Yeah, I think that. Well, actually, I have a question for Cody. Have you even seen Halloween?
I don't think I have.
I knew it. I had a feeling. I was like, I don't think you've even seen it.
I saw Halloween H2O, and that was like 20 years ago.
You saw Halloween Water?
Is that what it's called? Halloween
Yeah.
H2O?
That was like the first horror movie you and I think, ever saw. We saw that back at Dad's house. We were just sitting there. We were like, I was like 10 years old. Like, what are we watching? It's like
It has
crazy.
no impact on me because I don't remember a thing from it.
Well, you've turned into a serial killer since then, so it had some impact.
I did? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Totally.
No denying
we got him
that.
on tape.
Yeah. Well-
no.
Well, I will say that Luke, you've seen both, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I'm with you probably most of that, Joel. I think that Halloween gave us a more iconic character, more of a, obviously it fits into the horror genre, the slasher killer guy. Michael Myers is, I think, actually no, that's a whole other discussion, which one's the creepiest one. But
Yeah.
Michael Myers is just my favorite series to watch. The Halloween series is always fascinating. But I think The Shining is just a more complete horror film. In fact, I think it's just weird. I think it's just, if you watch that movie, it's very Kubrick. It's very just long shots, a bunch of weird things happening, a bunch of like creepy bears walking around, and what's happening here? A bunch of crazy
All it
nonsense.
is creepy bears walking around.
I just get this feeling that like they locked Jack Nicholson into an actual hotel. They're like, let's just film it.
Let's just film this, man.
And that's what Kubrick was. He's like, I'm onto something. This guy's actually
Yeah.
crazy.
We found this abandoned hotel. Let's just lock Jack Nicholson. See what happens.
So I'm going to
Set of
definitively say that The Shining is a more iconic horror film than
Dylan, what was the original question?
Is it more? Which one is more iconic? Which one is the more iconic horror film?
Iconic?
I would say
Halloween.
Shining.
Ooh. Well, Cody, you haven't seen it. Well, I guess you don't have to.
Well, no one talks about Halloween.
I beg to differ. We're talking about it.
Yeah, we're the only ones.
I don't know. I
Don't
feel
think
like
so.
we're the only
Who
ones
gives a
talking
crap
about
about Halloween?
I feel like I'll play devil's advocate here. I feel like if you're asking what the most iconic of the two are, Halloween has to be the most iconic. The Shining, I feel like, is that's like a I don't know how to describe it. It's like that's like a film buff's version of a horror movie. Yes, it's the more complete horror film, but like I feel like if you're looking for just sheer iconography of like a horror film, you gotta go for the slasher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that point.
I see. Well, now that I think about it, because I think I was talking based on the what I thought the question was, which one is a better horror film? If it's iconic, yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I feel like I'm leaning towards Halloween as well.
Although,
because it has
Luke's
such a
going to turn the
strong,
tables every time.
yeah. Gosh,
But wait a minute.
every time I say something, well,
but wait,
no, because I think Michael Myers is such an iconic horror villain. There is no iconic. Jack Nicholson is not as much of an icon as Michael Myers is. Michael Myers pops up everywhere, and Jack Nicholson pops up, like you said, when film buffs are talking about horror.
Yeah.
now I'm gonna play devil's advocate to my own devil's advocate.
He's got more twists and turns than an M. Night Shyamalan film.
I'll say Halloween is the most iconic overall, but The Shining has some of the most iconic scenes. Like people like
Yeah,
like the twin scene in the hallway. Like some people would like most people would recognize that scene, and some people wouldn't even know what movies that's from. Is what I'm trying to get at. Like that's
Right.
one of the most iconic scenes in any movie ever.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of iconic scenes in Halloween as well. The whole closet scene. And
I don't remember that.
Luke, it was in the closet.
he was in the closet. I think the most iconic scene from Halloween, as far as death scene, would be when he dressed up as like the ghost with like the glasses on, like pretending to be somebody else.
This is true.
But I agree with Luke and think that Shining has more iconic scenes. Like if you think about like parodies like in The Simpsons or whatever, when they're trying to like emulate horror movies, they like everybody always goes back to The Shining. Like blood coming out of the elevators, two girls obviously is probably the most iconic. Everything basically, the maze. But
All work,
I
no play.
I still hold fast that Michael Myers Michael Myers makes Halloween a more iconic horror film.
Agreed.
Period.
Okay. And so I say Shining. The Danners say Halloween. Cody, what's your vote?
Shining.
Ooh, we got a split on this one. We'll have to revisit this another day. But we need to move on. We have time for one more round of movies. And we're saving the best for last. Now, this one is a classic one. The four of us have debated this many times. This has been an ongoing conversation. And this one's kind of apples to oranges a little bit. And there's one particular reason we always talk about these two movies, because they were both up for Best Picture in the same year. I believe it was the 1995 Oscars.
Yeah.
You can check that too if you want.
It is.
It is.
Okay, so these two movies are very classics. We all know them. Forrest Gump or The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh man.
Now,
These
to
two
clarify,
classic-
I think the question shouldn't be which one's a better movie. It should be which one should have won Best Picture.
Oh, man. I don't know. Somebody else go on this one.
And the reason I say that is because it is so apples and oranges. It's hard to debate, which one's a better movie because they're not related in any sense, just because they came out the same year. But I think which one should have won an Oscar is a more detailed question, so we can kind of hone in on that at least.
Well, it's hard to...
Cody, I want to hear your thoughts first.
I was going to say the same thing. I want to know what Cody has to say about this.
I have to say Shawshank should have won, all the way around, because...
Are you playing a character right now?
You caught me.
Dude,
Method acting.
Joel's drunk and Cody's high. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought, they're both good movies, but Shawshank, it just had that friendship aspect to it. I'm always going back to the friendships and
I know.
really,
You're so
the emotional side of
sentimental.
things. God, what's wrong with me?
Cody's starving for a relationship right now.
What's a dad? What's a friend?
We love you, Cody.
I just want more Morgan Freeman.
If Morgan Freeman could be the Terminator.
No, the friendship that they had with Andy Dufresne and what was Morgan Freeman's name? Red. Yeah. Their relationship was something special, and there was so much character development and changes, and I feel like Forrest Gump was good. It just didn't have as much emotion to it, and that's how we relate most to characters, is by the emotional side of things, and you're not going to be maybe as invested. I mean, Forrest Gump did suffer a lot, but I don't think it was. I don't know. I don't think it was to the same degree.
When Jenny died, I'm still crying.
Wait, Jenny died?
I don't know who that is.
Spoiler.
Who's Jenny?
Cody hasn't seen either movie.
I haven't seen Forrest Gump.
Very passionate argument for
I haven't
someone
seen
who hasn't
Shawshank Redemption either. I'm just reading this off the article I just pulled up.
You're just reading
Great
reviews
review from
offline.
Wikipedia.
What do these people think of this movie?
No, Cody, I would agree with that. I think Shawshank should have won. I don't think anybody's debating that Forrest Gump isn't a bad movie, because it's a great movie. But I think Forrest Gump is a very fun movie and has very bizarre elements in it, and it's a fun idea and it's entertaining. But it doesn't go any deeper than that, in my opinion. I think Shawshank plays on deeper themes that are more relatable, like hope and tragedy and perseverance, whatever it may be, whatever you take from the film. I think Forrest Gump, it's hard to come up with, at least for like an average moviegoer, it's hard to come up with a theme that Forrest Gump had, and that you're not leaving Forrest Gump thinking like, oh, I'm, that relates to my life, because it doesn't. But I think Shawshank plays on those human elements of like hope, especially. Obviously, that's the main theme going on there, so well, and it's so well shot. And it could have been a very, very boring movie. It's a stupid prison break, but it turned out to be fantastic for many reasons. A lot, which was why it was nominated for so many Oscars, but freaking lost every single one of them. I don't know. I think overall it's just a much more well-rounded movie compared to Forrest Gump. I think Forrest Gump it shines on just a few elements as far as the film goes.
I 100% agree. Everybody, I don't know. There are a lot of naysayers to Forrest Gump, and I would not agree with those naysayers. I think Forrest Gump is a fantastic movie. Yes, it can be easily, I don't want to say debunked, but it's if you look at that movie from a 10,000 foot level, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous movie. And you're right. Shawshank Redemption plays on like very real themes that are like that go way deeper than just some dude that gets really lucky in his life. Now, I will say I am biased. Shawshank Redemption has been like probably my number 1, number 2 favorite movie since I was, 15. So that is by far and away my choice for the Oscar Best Picture. I will say one little piece of trivia: runtime on both movies, 2 hours and 22 minutes exactly. They're exactly the same length.
Whoa! I never knew
Weird.
that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I almost still refuse to go. I can't make up my mind on this. I'm so torn. I think that I hear all the points you're saying. I think this kind of goes back to my original statement, what I was saying about which one would I give my money to and which one I give the award to, kind of 2 different categories, because I think I've seen both films just as much. Like, if I were going to sit down and want to watch one, I probably wouldn't pick Shawshank. I'd probably pick Forrest Gump because it's just a more fun movie. I think someone said entertaining. I would say that's a more entertaining movie than Shawshank. Shawshank is a heavy film. There's a lot going on. It is exhausting. After it's over, you're like, man, that was intense, but that was really good. But I think if I had to give it the award, and I think Forrest Gump was deserving in its own right. Tom Hanks is a more memorable character. Forrest Gump, the character, is more memorable than any of the characters in Shawshank Redemption is, at least in my opinion. But when it comes to an overall movie, I think the key difference between the two, where I'd be like, no, I think one movie has the better side of this, is the ending. The ending of Forrest Gump has always bugged me. I've always hated this idea of the Jenny character always annoyed me. Just this girl that's got her problems. I'm sure we all know why. Her dad was abusive, and she's always running in and out on Forrest. And then she finally comes in. She sleeps with him. She gets pregnant. She runs off, and she's like, "Well, now I have a kid, and I'm dying, and they got to take care of him." That was the worst thing that could happen to that guy. That kind of that's like stupid. Like this guy did nothing wrong, and she just at the end, he's just kind of sad. He's like, "Well, that was a really sad movie. Like, just that kind of was a bummer. Like, we were having a great time with this guy. A bunch of great things were happening to him, but it just." The love of his life just kind of kept, messing up and just causing him problems. But the end of Shawshank is so powerful, and it's such a happy ending. It's almost the ending you don't see coming. You're like, this movie's just been a downer this whole time, and now it's uplifting. Like, wow, I didn't see them. This movie ends on a beach. Even though that wasn't the original ending, though. It was supposed to be him driving out, which I actually think might have been a better ending.
I agree. I was just about to say that. So the original ending was the second to last shot is Morgan Freeman, Red, riding on the bus after he gets out of prison for however many years he was in there, and it's just like a monologue in the background, basically saying that he wants to see his friends again, or his friend again. He's trying to see Andy Dufresne, and like the last words are "I hope," and it like fades to black, and then it comes back into focus, and spoiler alert, they're both find each other on a beach. But the original ending was it just fades to black while as he says "I hope," and that's it. And I think that's so much more powerful because it really just like punches that theme into the viewer of like, does he see him? Does he not? It doesn't matter because he hopes. That's the point.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, if you took the whole beach scene at the end, which leaves us on a very happy, like, oh man, they made it. They made it to the Mexican beach. Zehuataneo. I remember the name.
Zehuataneo.
They make it down to that beach. And as uplifting as it is, like it would have been just fine. Him finding that letter by the rocks and the music, the score that's playing, and Morgan Freeman's voice. It's all just, it could have ended right there and I'd be like, man, this is just so good. And I can't deny it. At the end of Forrest Gump, he's literally sitting on a log and just staring off in the distance going, well, I guess that was a good time.
Right. But as far as I'm looking at all of the awards that Shawshank was nominated for, just go down the list. Best Picture, Best Actor Morgan Freeman, Best Screenplay, Best Score, Best Sound, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing. Lost all of them. I think that at least I would say one of these, Best Actor, it was basically Morgan Freeman or Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump. I think Tom Hanks should have won, even though it's Morgan Freeman's shining hour on film. It's one of his most iconic characters. However, Tom Hanks
can't beat Forrest Gump.
Playing that character is difficult, and crying at the end of it when he's like finds out he has a son is one of the best.
That's one of the best
moments
scenes
ever.
That's scenes that's like top 10 scenes that will make guys cry. Is that
right?
Scene.
Yeah.
So I think we're all in agreement. Shawshank, then. I think we would have disagreed with the Academy. That's a first.
Idiots.
By
the way,
you're part of the Academy.
I'm part of the Academy. Yeah. You guys are all under arrest.
Second time this week.
No, have you guys heard of the new category that the Academy's coming out with?
Yes, the most popular film or something like that.
Most popular film.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So stupid, man. So dumb.
Oh, God.
It's like as a filmmaker, as like a director or producer, whatever, like would you even, if you got that award, would you be like so proud that you got just a popular film even though it didn't win anything else?
Yeah, they had that award already. It's at the MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah.
They have a million of those
People's
awards.
Choice Awards.
Yeah, basically, it's that. It's like Oscars, like it's a clear sign. Like they know their ratings are tanking because they keep nominating movies that people don't care about. They've obviously become a lot more politicized, so that's kind of tuned half of America out. But it's just so silly to me that it's kind of patronizing to other filmmakers that want to make films. It's like if you like the film, then just nominate it. Like, why does it have to be the most popular movie? It's so stupid, man.
No, I mean, basically, you can't deny, or they can't deny, that it's going to be box office numbers that are going to come into effect. Like,
right.
Which just, I mean, you might as well just throw the whole thing out. Like, that's just insane.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically saying like which movie made the most money.
Exactly.
Like, does that need to be an award? Who cares?
Yeah.
So Marvel's going to win every year.
Exactly.
Yeah, Marvel's going to win every year. Exactly.
Essentially, that's what this comes down to.
Or Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've reached the end of our first episode. We did it, guys.
Shoot.
We did one.
Oh, yeah.
Look at us. We have completed the journey. All right. So thank you all out there who are listening. We're going to be back next week talking about new and exciting things. So we hope you join us there. If you like this, you can subscribe.
This is an ongoing thing.
That's right. This is your intervention, Joel. This is the first step. This is one of 12 steps we have to get you through. But if you did enjoy this, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be on iTunes and SoundCloud, and we hope that you come back for more. And till then, talk to you later.
Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.